Hey guys, and welcome back to another live stream as we get ever closer to the AFLW season kicking off around about this time tomorrow night. It's been a whirlwind of a preseason with a lot of chop and change, and it feels nerve-wracking, but also good to get to the end of it and get into the actual games and see the actual scoring, the roles, etc. So yeah, I'm just happy that this preseason is over. But I'm also nervous because you put a lot of I guess, time and research into things, and you hope that the research doesn't fail. But I think this live stream probably going to be one of the longer ones, probably because we do have the initial set of teams and sort of I guess the implications of players playing in each, where they're scheduled to play, where they're sort of voiced to play, I would say, by some of their coaches and stuff and everything. But anyway, let's just jump into this here. And first of all, this was just a little bit of research on Georgia Clark for the likes of the key forwards. There's a little bit of discussion around F6, and what to do there. So first of all, we will get into the sides here. So Carlton are playing against Collingwood to start the season off 7:15 tomorrow night. And we can also do something as well. We can also go through the injuries as well. I think that'll be, we can go through that as well, which we will open that up and we'll get to that in a second once we get through these teams, which will probably be 20 minutes. But yeah, as you can see, out of the sort of surprising things, you probably see Vesio at halfback. I've sort of considered that as if you're ever in the FTTV Discord, you would see probably my sort of thoughts around it and how I have definitely considered going the likes of Vesio at F6, but I probably stayed a little bit away, and I always come back to one player, which we'll name, I think, in my team reveal later tonight. But yeah, Vesio at halfback, I don't mind this pick. I think she can go 55 or so in the first 3 weeks, which she's priced at 36, I think. Let me just double check that for you. If Vesio goes 55 for 3 weeks or so, she's going to probably make 60K, 80K, and then probably 120 or 100K. What's that? 240K in 3 weeks, priced at 36. You would think that that's a pretty good outlook there. So yeah, I do think that she's all right, but I don't know if she can average the 55. But if she can, then that's perfectly fine, as she's priced at 36.2. Now, nothing else really outstanding in the back line, I would say, for Carlton. Poppy Schultz is one that I think just her height, even though she has a really good ball use, is one thing that probably just puts me off going for her. So yeah, I was a little bit more apprehensive on the pick in preseason, I would say. But now that the season has not gotten underway, but more data has come out, more research has been done by me itself. I still think she won't work as well, but I don't think it will be a failure of a pick as we've seen with some other picks. And then moving on, nothing really else too much about this Carlton side is too alarming, I would say. You've got Fitzpatrick on the half forward flank, but you've also got Goering at centre half forward, which is quite, I don't know what the heck's going on there. She should just be on ball, to be honest. But I guess she's the fourth midfielder in the side. But that probably limits Fitzpatrick's ability if they've already named Hill and Mackay and also Shearer in the midfield. That meaning that Guerin's going to be the fourth midfielder you'd expect. So Fitzpatrick's probably the fifth. And then I don't expect Mackay to get any time as well there. So that should probably limit that there. But Guering's going to obviously score a bucket load of points. And I don't think the role's probably going to be there for Fitzpatrick now that we have the likes of Goering at half forward. And then Mackay, is not going to score that well, I don't think, now looking at everything. I think she's one that's probably more so going to average around that probably 40 marker, which she's priced at, what's she, 356? That's probably 28. But priced at 356, she's not going to, that plus 12 as a sort of utility or a midfield M6 isn't going to be as good as the likes of Zippy and even Ash Centra, who I think can go near and around plus 30 or so. But yeah, I was a little bit warmer on the McKay pick a little bit earlier in the season, or preseason, I should say. And then on the bench, there's nothing outstanding from what I've seen. And then there's Collingwood here. Barnett starting ruck is an interesting call, and there's been some people wondering what is the potential upside there with her. I probably range it in around, she's priced at, I think, 51. She's probably going to go at a high at, like, I would say in and around that, in and around the probably 55, 60 marker, but I don't think it will be too much there, to be honest with you. So one that I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see sort of how she goes, I think, before picking her, because I don't think it will be a big enough jump to get her into the top forward range, to be honest with you. So, I don't think she will be one that ends up being any meaningful positional change, but it is a big positional change in general, her going to the ruck for at least half of it, you would expect. But you've also got Frederick there as well, who you would expect to take on a fair chunk of ruck time as well. Patterson, Ramos, Howarth in for her first game in like 700 days or so, I think it might be, maybe even a little bit longer. So that's good to see, but I don't think she'll have any scoring impact. The main one is just Centra actually getting up. This is a huge one. We can look at her rookie me numbers because she was, I mean, we've shown them before, but we can show them again. Outstanding is probably the easiest way to describe this. If we just look at it and scroll down a little bit, probably should have done it on the other page. But anyway, 27 touches at Gippsland Power level, full marks, 1 hit out, 4 tackles and a goal a game. And then you also have at under 18 national championship, 19 touches, 2 marks, 2 tackles and a goal a game. She is just a freak of nature. And she's going to be one of the best players, 176 centimeters. She's also, 5'10" or so. She's going to be one of the taller players out there. And so that should really help her out as well. And I just think she's probably going to be, it's going to be an argument between her and Zippy, I think, for the best cash generator from what I can see at the moment. Obviously, there's probably going to be someone that pops out and just does something random. And scores really well. But yeah, Centra is just an obvious pick, whether it is M6 or utility. I don't know if many will have her on the ground. Some probably will, but I don't think she plays. I think she'll be weaned into it a little bit. I don't think she plays sort of that 90 or 85% time on ground, which you sort of do get from others. I think she's more going to probably sit around that sort of 70 marker, which does probably limit that top end scoring of her scoring those sort of 90 bumper scores. But I still think that she's got such a good role that, and her ball winning ability is just one of the best that I've seen in a while. So I think that she's going to score, she's probably going to average 60, I would think, maybe, which is just, well, really good. But she's priced at 34. That's plus almost 30 upside. So yeah, that's an easy selection, I feel like. And then outside of that, there isn't really much. Butler is an interesting one. Cronin looks to be the number 1 tall. If you actually look at the team list, you'll see, well, Cronin and Butler both there. They're sort of the 2 talls there. A 2-tall system for the likes of Collingwood. It probably does limit Butler's absolute upside, but we will just quickly go to the injury list for, if we just go, that totally freaked the heck out of me there, seeing that, because I'm pretty sure that was Cronin, but that is an old image, so that's a good thing. One thing that I think is really sort of missing, if you look at the Collingwood backline, is just any form of a distributor at all. Like if you look at, and we do this and we'll go to the scores in general, if we go fantasy points here and we'll switch it over to Collingwood and we'll just look at this. if we go to the likes of, where even is the likes of, you can see Geordie Allen here, just randomish scores as well. But yeah, this is an interesting one here. But I think that both no, that's Ivy. Sorry, that's not even Allen. Here's Allen. That makes more sense here. You can see the scores here that she's put up before. I just wonder, with her being out alongside also having there's no one else really, as well as there's no one else really out, to be honest with you, from their backline from memory. But yeah, I just think that that's her being out, as well as Butler just being fit. Butler could. I keep on coming back to Butler at that F6 role, and I think that Butler could average around about that sort of 55 marker for the first 3 or 4 games. I think she could do that, and if she does do that, then she is going to be a smash pick. She's priced at what's I believe she's priced at what's 456 or so, 458, and 458 divided by the magic number, as I said, is roughly she's priced at roughly 35. Now, if she goes 55 in the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks, she's probably, as I said, close enough with the Vesio pick, is going to go up somewhere around about that 200 to 240K. And 200 to 240K, after 3 weeks, you almost have the ability at that point to get to make that big maneuver. But it will also, in that sense, if you aren't going to make that big move to that next big mid, if you are just going to make that move to, say, a Charlotte Taylor from a mid-price defender, or a failed mid-price defender or something like that, or Goldsworthy starts to bottom out and you go to her, you actually start to build up a bank to be able to, the week after, do something huge. So I think that's also a key consideration. And I just think that having the flexibility with Butler or Vesio or someone of that regard over having a 300K player and still be maxing out your I guess limiting your cash in the bank, is that you become very inflexible, and you rely heavily on your preseason predictions and your player sort of evaluations. And we just know we're going to be wrong. So in some senses, so that's why I like to have the cash to be able to move and be flexible, as I've been saying this whole preseason. And that's one of the reasons that I really like Butler, is that if a McDonald or a Cos or someone else like that does score well, like a 60, then you can move to them. But if a Cos fails and Butler is the one that goes 70 or something in the first game, you're locked out of her and you can't really maneuver there. And so that's where players can get away from you awfully quick. And that's why I think Butler is going to do pretty well, I personally believe. But yeah, there's that for you guys. And then outside of that, I don't think there's anything interesting for Collingwood, to be honest with you. I don't think Schleicher or anyone in that midfield is going to score terribly well. So I think that that's probably, you don't have to worry about that too much there, to be honest with you, which will be, it's probably a good thing that we don't have to worry too much there on that front. But let's see, can I put an actual, you know what I can do? I will put in a poll at this question, starting F6, and we'll see, add options here. Let's just see. And we'll go Butler. We will go, who else? We will go Vesio, and then we will put a McDonald, and then we will also put a Cos there, and we'll see how that vote goes. But yeah, we'll put that in there for the time being for you guys to vote on there. But let's get back to this. So, and you can see also with the Collingwood bench, there's nothing much there, but that is the Collingwood versus Carlton game starting off this season. And then we get to the West Coast versus Gold Coast. I almost stuffed that up. This game probably has the weirdest, I guess, implications in a sense. There was a lot of chaos with the team sheets when you see that Charlie Rowbottom is the lead ruck for a second. But this is about the fourth time I've seen that this year, with Gold Coast deciding that they'll put their their number one midfielder is their ruck, and then they'll also put their number one ruck as their number one mid. They swap it around a lot with Raul and the likes of Witts. So they've done it again with Rowbottom and Gregory. Thankfully, some people in the Discord were able to figure that out very, very quickly, who was actually going to ruck for them there. Then you've also, that was a big mystery of what in the heck's going to happen there. But yeah, that was a big silly buggers there. And so we'll just start off with the likes of all West Coast, I feel, and then we'll go to Gold Coast. Now, the first thing that you see with West Coast is they've got 2 starting rucks. And that pretty much shuts off an avenue of the ruck line that we've been talking about all preseason, I should say, is that Liz McGrath is not an option. I just cannot see an option for McGrath now that they've got Lakay in there as well. Obviously, do they have the other Wakefer? I don't see it, so that's probably a good thing that they don't. Is Roxanne Rowe also a potential? Is she a ruckman? A ruck, I should say. No, doesn't look like it. So that's good that they've only got the 2 starting rucks, because that would almost be even worse if they had another one. But at that point, there's nothing much to gain from it. But another thing we have to talk about is the abundance of midfielders in this. And it does paint a little bit of a dour picture on the wrench role with Johnson going down. But I don't think it's necessarily the worst. I do think that the likes of Wrench will still be able to score well. She's got the Gold Coast matchup, which is just a piece of cake matchup, to be honest with you. But yeah, that was a little bit of a worry for 5 or 10 minutes till we started to do a little bit of an investigation about it. Because I do really like Wrench. She's my starting, not starting. She is my D6 at the moment, and I wanted to wait and watch with Ott a little bit. So to have Wrench named on ball, the comments about Daisy Pearce, I was a little bit confused about, and I just want to see if I can bring up the comments here from the likes of Daisy Pearce. 1 second here. The comment was, Daisy Pearce says Bella Smith will be named tomorrow night to face the Suns after overcoming an ankle injury, etc. Jess Wrench has demanded a spot in the West Coast midfield, and it's still expected to line up there to start, despite the injury to Annabelle Johnson, but could still play halfback. Now, that got me just a tad bit confused, that statement there. So yeah, there was a little bit of a is she actually just bluffing or anything of that regard? But I do think this team sheet with the likes of Lewis at half forward is a little bit, I guess, a little bit of a confirmation, I would say, even though we know to trust team sheets with I guess a pinch of salt. But yeah, I do like that she was named there, which is good. Outside of that, nothing in the backline really. Thomas is still going to do her 70, 75, whatever the heck. It's not going to take the game away from you if you don't pick her. She'll be one that I probably pick after 3 rounds. She's going to be the first mid-price failure defender to go up to. I should say that differently. The first player I'll go up to from a failure of a mid-pricer. I said failed wrong like 5 straight times, but yeah, she'll be in there within like 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like, because she's just a known quantity, and that can be good at AFLW Fantasy, just knowing that and having that those points locked in. I just think that there is a mass value in that backline at the moment, or I should say a mass potential for value in that backline with Paxman, McLaughlin, etc. in there, as well as Conan, who should be named on ball tomorrow night. Moving on, Britton, Drennan, Weston, nothing there. Franklin, Wakefer. There's the other Wakefer. Is this one the one that's a ruck? Yep. There we go. That's the third ruck, and that's why you go and don't bother with McKay. McGrath, because there's the third ruck. And then nothing. Painter named half forward. This screams of, if anyone was playing last year, of a Brooke Boileau who had amazing junior numbers, but then just got stuck on a forward. It felt like a half forward role, and I don't think she put up good numbers at all. So I I did really rate Painter in preseason. She came out really well in rookie general numbers alongside rookie value weighted indexes and stuff like that. So yeah, as well as the way she plays the footy, just being a strong tackling base, that really did come up and flash as something. But this role is not looking good. And a lot of my decisions at the moment are very much role-based. And that is not someone that I want to touch, especially if you've got the likes of Centra and also Fish, as well as even I probably almost value Howley now above the likes of Painter, but that's just me being me, I would say. And then we move on to the likes of Gold Coast. Now, Havana Harris, so much hype in preseason, only till she played full forward in the practice games, and then went, yeah, nah, that's not for me. And I think we all had that same exact reaction, and that's why we're all like, no, we don't want to touch her. So she will be one that I will gladly probably let by. She's probably going to put up like a 50 or a 60 in the first game and just annoy us. But I think in the long run, it's a better decision because she is she's a full forward. And I just think that there's going to be a better value. And not only that is they don't really, she's playing just this awkward role that is just not going to score points in a shocker of a side that the Gold Coast are. I think Gold Coast will be better than they were last year, but that's not really saying much, to be honest with you, because they were utter tripe last year. Like they even lost a game to Collingwood. Admittedly, there was a touch behind that was not it was a touch behind through the ball technology that wasn't actually touched, if my memory serves me correct, that lost them the game. But still, for them to be on Collingwood's level is saying something. There's nothing really, like we can talk about Mithen. I would much rather Mithen be named on ball over Brian Catasano. I think I nailed that name. Midfielder there. I probably would rather that, but her named at half forward doesn't give me too much confidence compared to Patricios, who I expect to be named at on ball in tomorrow night. When we do that, you will also see me live for those teams for when they all get released there. So we'll have a deep dive on that one there. Best for Harris, Single, Clayton, Moya, Bishka, McLaughlin at halfback. This one is definitely one that could be of value because she is one that she's one that is gonna probably, I think, take that Daisy Darcy role, and like I've been saying this this live stream plus also this preseason alone, is we go for role. In my opinion, you go for role. You don't go for, like a lot of people are hunting maybe an outlier score in preseason. I'd much rather go for role. I think it has a better hit rate. I think it tends to not lead to maybe a little bit of an outlier that you can get there. And general role score. We know the scoring roles in most in AFL, and that tends to translate pretty well across men's and women's. A lot of things translate pretty well across men's and women's. And one of those is the scoring roles. And the halfback role, it doesn't translate as well as it does in the men's, but it does translate pretty well to scoring. And McLaughlin could potentially have 15 points of upside. And so I'm hunting that role, but I'm also cognizant that she could be going straight up to Thomas in 2 weeks' time. Like, there's also that. But McLaughlin is one that I think is going to score pretty well, to be honest with you. Wilson and then Govan. I don't think there's much to talk about here. There was I would say, steady debate between everyone on sort of the row bottom versus Gardner. In the end, if you sort of, I wouldn't say look at it, but if you just sort of think of it long term, I actually don't think it's going to have too much of an impact on the overall scheme of things. I don't think the likes of either one's going to score terribly much more than the other, or terribly much more in terms of average in terms of price gained or average gained compared to the other that it's going to make any much of a difference. I think they're both going to do around the 110 or so. So yeah, I do think that I do personally rate Rowbottom over the likes of Gardner, but it's not by too much. One thing I will also say with the Gold Coast is that just came to my head there is also that Whitford is out. I don't remember how long for. Let me just double check. Whitford is a hamstring 1 to 3 weeks. I ain't touching anyone else in that midfield now, given that, because their role could bump after 2-3 weeks, and you might not be ready for them, especially if they're a midfielder. And that's sort of the difference as well, and something in terms of just upgrade cadence we should probably talk about. We'll probably get to it more in tomorrow's live stream. Tomorrow night's, Team Sheets live stream is more about just sort of upgrade cadence. And you don't want to have to upgrade a midfielder early because they lose a role or something of that regard. Whereas if you upgrade a forward or someone like that, you're going to be able to upgrade them rather quickly. I feel like the forwards, you could almost get an upgrade week 1, but you're probably going to be able to easily upgrade your defenders and your forwards week 2 rather easily straight from the bench because cash gen is a lot quicker. So that is Gold Coast. Don't think they have, obviously, like their whole bench is basically debutant alongside Harris, etc. But none of them, I don't think, are going to take the game by storm. So not really needed to talk about. We obviously went through West Coast, and that is the current teams. And now we can sort of get to your questions along, and then we will also dip into the likes of the injury list there. So let me just end this poll here. And as you can see, for those people, that McDonald 45%, Butler 18, Vesio 18, and Coles 18. So a lot of people are getting into the McDonald hype there. But anyway, let's answer some of your questions. Yep, statements. Gold Coast silly buggers. Yeah, they seem to do that quite a lot. It probably wouldn't take me long to find one with Raul at the R1 spot, which has happened way too many times. And then you've got here, still rather a Dunlop or Murphy over McGrath. I totally agree with this now. But the problem with, and I think that this almost leans into, I would say, the upgrade cadence that I was mentioning a minute or two ago, is that, and we can almost just do this mathematically, just almost looking at it, and you'll see my team in a way. But if we go to, and we'll actually do it from Stat Center here, if we go, make this a little bit bigger for you guys, if we go to position and then the ruck, you'll see Strom 1.456 million. We expect that, and I think most people would agree that we expect the Strom to drop down to about the 1.2, 1.25, I would say. That's roughly about the 100 marker. I think that's roughly where I sort of have her, 95, 100. So if she's 1.25, and you really do need to still be making cash gen throughout the first, because a lot of us are going to grab her around round 4, 5, I think. You're still going to be wanting cash generation there. And we have 3 trades per week, you have to remember. So 3 trades, 1.25 million, plus let's just say about 370 for a decent pick player, for a decent player with a good break even, etc., plus another decent player with a good break even, you're probably looking at about 750 to 800k on those players alone. So 750, 800k on 1.2, 1.25 is about 2 million. Split it across 3 players, that's 660k each. You may have 100k in the bank, 150k in the bank. So that is now, you need to get about 600k per player. Now I can tell you that Sinead Goody, I traded her out last season at 705k, and she was outstanding. But that was around, I think, 6 or 7 when she'd started to make a bucket load of cash. So if you're rookie ruck, you want to get up to Strom in round 5, I just don't see an avenue where you can realistically do it without sacrificing a mid-pricer or an other premium somewhere. And that is almost sideways trading in a way, which I don't really like. And that's why I'd rather start with a Scholes, who is kind of in a way a premium, but she isn't exactly because of the line, and move her up to a Strom because I just feel like there's more avenues where the rookie ruck gets stuck and you can't get to Strom in any case scenario for the whole year. Because if your rookie ruck gets stuck at like 400k, 500k, there is no avenue other than trading, wasting a week, and then trading again that you can actually get up to Strom, which you're either going to burn 30 points per week or so to the next best ruck, or you're going to or you're really just going to burn a lot of points because you'll have that rookie ruck instead. So that's why I'd rather go that sort of mid-pricer or high-end mid-pricer in the ruck. And we have Corey here with Harris playing the deploy role. Yeah, that's just a horrific role for scoring. Mithun should be on ball. I think she will. I don't think she'll play fully on ball. I think she'll play some part forward, but I still think it would be a fair amount. I just think that I'd rather the value that I've seen in Patrikios, I think, is a lot more than I've seen that we see in Mithun. But we could obviously, that could be wrong. Brie Conan, she should be starting in the midfield for Brisbane, which would help everyone out. It's one of those picks that you kind of need for just, it almost feels like to finish your side. We need these type of walk-up sort of picks, slam dunk picks, I would say, almost in a way. If she's starting midfield, she's going to be so good for value. We've seen Sheeran do something similar. Remember that a couple of years ago where she was just such a slam dunk pick. So I do think that Brie Conan is a massive lock for me. Bishka at half back, someone that I haven't done too much research on. So why don't we do some active research, I would say. If we just go here and grab up Bishka, Kiara Bishka. Let's do a little bit of research and figure out about her, because 171 centimeters, 205. That doesn't fill me with the most confidence that Suns Academy. I mean, it was only 2 games that she only had 11 touches, 8 touches a game in under 18s, and then what are we? 1.3 marks. That's interesting. Tall defender, 171 centimeters. Don't know if that's really a tall defender these days. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't think she will be noteworthy there. Because of midfield time for Conan. This was on the back of that. Yes, indeed. She is going to most likely be playing in the midfield. Then we have another one. What do you think of Craven in forward line? Let's jump at this one. Craven, someone I swear I looked at a couple of years ago and had her because she was playing at halfback. 52. She screams someone that isn't going to budge too much. If we just look at this and she's not someone that I did major research on. If we just look at her, she's someone that I probably just flicked over a little bit, but 68% TOG for a 50.7. Doesn't really have the high TOG, which is a massive worry. So yeah, that's someone that I'd probably give a miss, to be honest with you, but 7 kick-ins for a 59. That's interesting. But yeah, you can just see her highest score, I think, is a 67, I want to say 69. So that doesn't leave me with too much confidence there. Do you start a rookie in defense and go, do we start a rookie in defense and go cheap in forward line? I don't think you can go cheap on both lines. And some others can probably, who have done quite a lot of research as well. I think the prevailing sort of consensus is that the rookies this year aren't as good across the lines. We've lost a couple of rookies. There's no doubt about that. Lauren Young would have solved a heck of a lot of things. Like a magnitude of my problems would have been solved by Lauren Young. But there's that. I don't even think I'm going like McLaughlin at the moment. I'm going against her just so that But yeah, Lauren Young would have got me McLaughlin. But yeah, I don't think you can go too heavy in the defense rookies because there's a worry that, and I've always had this worry, and I don't think it's as big a worry in the men's compared to the women's, is that you can just get stuck, absolutely stuck. And I talk about flexibility a lot, and the mid prices do provide that, etc. And having that extra cash does provide that. But if you start a rookie in defense, most of the rookies we're talking about in defense are sort of 340, 330. So okay. Wrench, I think, is 314. If you start one of them on the field, the other one's going to be, you're going to have a 300K on field, 330K on field, and you're also going to have like a 310K on the bench. Where's the movement going to come except for breaking up premiums? And you don't want to start sideways trading or breaking up premiums to solve problems and stuff. You want to be breaking up your mid prices, your failed mid prices. You either want to break them apart to get the real good rookies, or you want to bring them straight up to the top end. Like, let's think about this. I think I have Birch there currently at D5, sorry. If Birch does well for 2 weeks and then kind of comes back in, I'm probably just going to go straight up to Thomas in 2 weeks, straight up to Thomas. But if Birch fails and I can't get to necessarily Thomas, she's probably going straight down to a rookie or something of that regard. Maybe not because she's in the midfield, in the defender line. But if she was in the midfield and that happened, you probably go down to a rookie. But it all depends on who scores well, who has a good break even, etc., and who has the better role. Because we know that there are outlier events where someone scores like 100 and then, or probably not 100, but like a 70 and then like a 10. Like there's so many times I've seen that. Friswell was a massive example of outlier, and then she did really well for about 3-4 weeks, and I kept saying she's on a wing. It's gonna turn. It's gonna turn. It's gonna turn. Like, look at this start to the, where is it? Is it here? Look at this 2 or 3 weeks here. 44, 78, 87, 48, 62, 36, 72. And then she had this almighty of almighty bad runs where she went 33, 43, 35, 21. She scored almost less in the space of 3 weeks, 56, 99, 132 in the space of 4 weeks at 33 than she did in this 2 week span here, or even almost this 2 week span of 87 and 48. She scored one more point in the 87 and 48. In that 4 week span than she did in the 87-48. That's how bad of a run she went on. And that's how role does matter so much more, I have a feeling, in AFLW than it does in the men's comp, for all that are wondering there. Is Schultz a lock at solo ruck? Now, let me just bring up Port Adelaide Power AFLW, and let's bring up their squad to walk through this. So if we go through their squad, you'll see forward nothing here about a ruck, I should say. And then we get all the way down to, there's nothing here as well about a ruck at all. And then we just get to nothing else as well. And then you see Schultz and nothing else. Now, there obviously will be some rucks that take some time off Schultz because she's not going to ruck for 100%, but she is about as locked in as a ruck as you can be. And Port Adelaide are kind of scuffed or completely stuffed if she doesn't turn out to be a decent ruck or goes down injured, because they basically bet their whole year on her doing really well with the limited list size that they have. They've gone with the extra runner, I guess, the one less tall there. What do you think of Catherine Smith in the back line? You know what I'm going to do to get the best view on this? I'm going to actually search up here. If I could type, would be a big question. Catherine Smith, 610K for GWS. I just don't think she's going to end up scoring too much more than what she did last year. She averaged 47 for the year last year. She might push 52, 53, but I don't think it's going to be much more than that, to be honest with you. And then this was about shouldn't be there, is about Bishka. And then Lauren Pearce, is she a good cheap ruck? If we go to Pearce here and look at her, I just don't think so. I need to probably look at her long run numbers here. Let's look at them in the likes of DFS here. But I don't think she's going to, like, look at her. Her best scoring seasons are 63. There's, 11 points of upside there potentially. I don't think that that's going to be achieved. And you can see that, there's 12 points, 4 points of upside. So yeah, I don't think that'll be achieved. She has done a 1.24 points per minute, which if we just quickly look at that in terms of her, and regulate her toggle a little bit there, we can get her scoring a little bit better placed there. Times by the 73, divide by the 68, times by the 52. So best case scenario of everything involved, she goes a 72. That's huge upside, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think it's probably more than likely that she's going to average probably 60 flat. And there is upside there, but I don't think it's mega upside. And I think you might just struggle and get stuck with her. And getting stuck is probably the worst thing that you can do in the ruck line, because the ruck line, there's not many get outs. It is basically a race to get to Strom when she bottoms out. Because I don't think paying full dollar for Strom is good, but I think you got to get Strom at the best round possible, which is looking like the West Coast matchup, I think, in round 4-5, I think, from memory, but we'll see about that. And then what do you think of Eden Zanka? A good early run. I've actually done little research on her. I haven't really looked at it. She did 64 in season 8, but she did average an extra goal, which is already 6 points. An extra 0.7 of a tackle, extra 0.6 of a mark, 0.8 handball, and 1.3 kick. So kind of just everywhere. She averaged better. And Melbourne, I don't know if Melbourne's going to be that good of a side, to be honest with you. She could present value, but where she lost it as well. She lost it in the behinds as well, basically a point there, but 6 points. And then, yeah, kind of everywhere. She lost a little bit of ruck. Well, she didn't actually lose ruck time. But I just don't like her role, to be honest. Is there an injury that caused that as well? Let me see. Nope, there's no injury there that would cause that as well. So this is just based solely on, she was injured somewhere here, because you wouldn't play round 4 and 7. But yeah, I just don't think that she is one that's going to present too much value with a role point of view. And then we move on here. So, is it optimal to start a captain loophole at flex? No, because you just captain Marinoff because she's the best player in the game and she's 30 points better. And even if she goes and averages 20 less, she's still going to be 125, which will still be the best player in the comp for average. So you just put a captaincy on her, especially when her first 3 weeks are, let's actually bring this up because her first 3 weeks are dumb. Like from memory, it's legitimately really dumb how good her first 3 weeks are. She's got St Kilda. Let's go and actually bring up Noffy here. Marinoff here. Let's bring her up and show you guys. She's got St Kilda. She averages only a steady 126 with a 172 against St Kilda. And if we bring up her, it's this one here. If we bring up her last couple games against St Kilda, she's gone 121, 127, 172. That's a captaincy and a half there. Job done. And I'll actually remove this comment here just so that you can actually see it better and make this a little bit bigger for you guys there. So you can actually see that better. You can see there 172. And then we get to, in the second round, she's got Geelong, which Geelong, if we go here, opponent's average, and then go, where is Geelong? They are here. She averages a 109 against them. Not the greatest, but she does have a 124 against them. She somehow only put a 107 on them last year. Pathetic score for her standard. But still, you could potentially, if you get a really good matchup there, you could potentially captain someone else, but you're not going to out of fear, out of FOMO of everything that she does actually just randomly put a massive score on. against Geelong, which doesn't seem to happen in the past. But yeah, she's done 2.11 points per minute in the past against them. She could easily do that again. And then in round 3, she has a GWS, where she scored 170 against them, I swear. She's gone 177 against them. You are not finding a better matchup in the game than Ebony Marinoff in the last 4 years against GWS, where let's actually just do the math here. So she's got 295 points there, 295 plus 174 plus 177. Divide that by 4. In the last 4 games against GWS, she is averaging a whopping 161.5. There's no better player against any matchup in the league, I can tell you, that's going to have a better 4-run average in either men's or women's than her against GWS. That is how confident I am with that. Like, let's even just take because she played 1 game against Sydney, 2 games against Essendon, but she's pulled 9 against GWS. So yeah, she's got basically her long run. If you take more than 2 games, she's got 2 out of the 3. 2 out of her 3 matchups are her best 2 long run matchups ever. Of the highest scoring player in the league by 30 points. You are not VCing or captaining against that anyway. So you just might as well just put the C on Marinoff, kick the legs up, maybe have a drink or something like that, and just watch her just put a masterclass on of fantasy football. So now we go on. Who to put in the forward and back line? We can do it this way. We'll do it this way. I'm not going to show exactly my team. You've probably already seen it, but let's just go here and go to the selected ownership. Thomas, pretty good option. You can probably start with her in your version 1 of a team or something like that. Maybe you don't end up with her. I don't. Wrench is a really good rookie. Conan, is the obvious choice. Just slam dunk picker. She's probably going to end up maybe D2, D3 probably is where she ends up in most teams, in the starting teams. Gay's out injured. Watson, I think, is most people's value pick. I think she has potential of 5 points of upside. We can go through that tomorrow. Heads, I think, is a sneaky one that I think a lot of people maybe that maybe screwed on have sort of let a little bit go more because of the Port Adelaide game style, but I still think she's going to be top of the line. I think I just would rather I'm 90% sure she's a good pick, but I'm just the 10% of me is like, she could be an absolute stinker. So yeah, I'd rather wait 2 or 3 rounds, see her average 70 and then jump on, then start with her. McLaughlin's a good pick. Bacon I don't really like, even though she has a role. The scoring power just doesn't match up there. Schultz, we already talked about. Lucas Rod's going to smash it, but she's just so inflated. She's destined to go down. I do like Ellinger a little bit, but not as much as my other picks, so that's why I'm off her. But I think she's one that I will probably end up getting anyway. And then you've got Brown, a rookie, Paxman, and Georgia Stathis, who I think both of them are decent enough picks. I might end up going down from Georgia Stathis to, depending on the Bulldogs team sheet, going down from Georgia Stathis to the likes of McLaughlin and giving myself more cash. Might be the way I go, but we will see about that. Georgia Stathis, she just brings back so many bad memories. It's almost, it's not a fear of missing out, but it's a fear of jumping on, I would say. What's that? FJU. Yeah, the fear of jumping on her and her dropping a 5 is real. And then we go to the forwards quickly here. Too good, slam dunk pick, probably the most obvious of the whole AFLW, I would say. Maybe Zippy Fish might be a little bit more obvious than Too Good, but I don't think so. Those two are up there with, those two are up there in a league of their own in terms of obviousness. Probably Centra is third. Stannett looks to be good. She does have the 4th mid-roll, but that'll be fine, I think, for her. And then Montana Ham, we are poking on a breakout there. Goldsworthy, the role isn't there when picker. I think that's just people just picking high scoring from last year. Same with Malloy. don't think it's there. She had an ACL coming back off that, alongside her saying that she's going to be playing everywhere, like that of Lucy McAvoy. And then a lot of people going like a Tonin because she potentially has that role. And then outside of that, it's kind of a free-for-all in just whoever looks all right. Generally, a lot of people are sort of going there. Who do you think will win Collingwood Carlton match? Can Bohanna kick a couple goals? Carlton look pretty bad. Collingwood look all right. That's a genuine toss-up, to be honest with you. And I'll do it tomorrow, but I'll do it tomorrow officially. But probably Collingwood's more. I could see this going either way. So I probably have to look in depth more about it. But I do think that that one's a rather tight one compared to most, because I think the West Coast will beat Gold Coast, I think. But yeah, just looking at this, I honestly can barely even split them, which is probably a bad thing. But yeah. And then Joe just saying, thanks, love your work. Ella Heads or Conan? Conan easily. That's not even a question. Conan, 50k cheaper, but she'll back that in 1 week against Heads, I think. So Heads has red flags. I don't think Conan has really any red flags, which is probably a really, really positive thing to have at this point in the preseason. But before we move on to the injury list and going through that, can you all give this stream a like and like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you know when I go live tomorrow night. It is planned on going live at 5:30, as we do have team lists at 6:20 usually. So if you can do that for me, that would be wonderful. And let's jump into the injury lists so that you know sort of a lot of value, as I said as well in preseason, is coming straight off the injury list. And we are sort of no different this year. There is a lot of value straight off the injury list. Adelaide, they don't got any value off the injury list because they got Georgia McKee. Brisbane, neither. They don't have any value really sitting on the injury list. Carlton, the value there with Carlton is who takes on the Gabby Pound role, because there's going to be points there. And if Vesio wasn't swung forward in preseason, I would be so much more confident with her actually being able to score. Like, it just sucks that she was chucked forward in the second half of preseason, because that kind of wiped away a little bit of value and created a little bit of a red flag. So that kind of sucks there. And then the next one to go to is Collingwood itself. They have a lot of value, I feel like, on the injury list. Obviously, Jordan Allen probably would have almost been a pick if she hadn't in a way been injured, but obviously she is, so that kind of does suck a little bit, because she probably would have helped. She probably wouldn't have helped Butler out and made Butler an option, but now that Butler's there and Geordie Allen isn't, it does help out Butler a little bit there, probably a little bit of value, as I'm trying to find my way to the preseason stats for you guys there. But outside of that, you got almost a starting midfield out with Breed and Davey, so that doesn't help out the likes of Collingwood. That Collingwood, there's value there. There's going to be someone that scored well in the midfield. Probably for them, it probably is just Brooke. Brooke. It's her name? Brittany Benici doing pretty well, and then also like the likes of Ruby Scheisser. But as I'm thinking about it, it also just opens up a lot of value for the likes of Ash Centra. So she's just going to do well there. That is that, as I look up what happened with the likes of Mullins for you guys, as I will find it in a second But yeah, there's that. Then we move on to Essendon, and this is probably where the big value lies as well. Another big value side. You've got obviously Maddie Gay, ACL strain, and we were all, I feel like, Dr. Google's trying to figure out what does an ACL strain actually mean. So yeah, from what I found, an ACL strain could be like honestly anything. It could be 1 to 2 weeks. It could be season over. We don't really have a big know about that. But given that she is a TBC, it probably is not the best thing there. So that's why I'd probably stay away from her, to be honest with you, in regards to that, as I finally found the article there to be able to look up what did Mullins do in preseason. Mullins, well, if she went in the ruck, she didn't have a hit out, so that solves that. And then you've also got, well, you've got the, is it the other Wales sister that's out? Is she just on the inactive list? That's why Murphy's there, and that's why Murphy was traded into from GWS. Is because I believe it was GWS. Because which Wales sister is it? I always get these two. The amount of times I've looked this up, Stephanie Wales, it's Steph, isn't it? Yep. Steph Wales is out injured, so there's that ruck slot there. That creates abundance of value. That probably creates one of the best value assets in the whole game. It's just, for me, is Murphy's 30 points going to be more valuable? Because you might not be able to get her up to anyone. That's the problem I find with that. But there's so much value there. The problem is with the Murphy pick is also that Van Dijk is also in that side, or Dykes in that side, which she just does not score well and takes up time in the ruck. Fremantle, they've got a pretty fit side, and now they've got Stannard and Bowers back, from which were missing last year. So that's a good thing for them. Because them missing didn't they created value, I think, in that midfield, and Strom, even though she's ruck, took advantage of it. I think Strom was up 1.3 tackles per game last year, which is already, 5.5 points. 5.5 points knocked off her is about 60k of value. So that's what I'm thinking about. And I just generally also think that Stannard and Bowers will take more tackles off the likes of Strom, as well as the new rules will also limit Strom's ability as well. So, and then you've got Geelong, Featherstone, Shear, Scott, Talleyrand. I don't think there's much there other than Tipping out injured, which just creates another rookie ruck role for the likes of Dunlop. Now, trying to get through these questions as well. We talked about the Mullins one here, love your work, etc. But do you reckon I go Piper Window or a forward rookie? I like the Window pick because she's going to get the role. And yes, the role can fail, but I always try and pick the role. And if you look at the forward rookies, they are disgusting for role. Like, genuinely disgusting. You've got Tonin off halfback, is the best one. Then you've got the likes of Butler, who's probably going to play a key, which may be a little bit of distributing, but it's not the greatest. Like, you're already starting to pull red flags there. You got Emma McDonald, one of the highest owned rookie forwards, is a key forward, if that tells you enough. The last key forward that was dominant went 15 in the AFL in her first year. So that tells you enough. And then you have Coles, who's a backup ruckman and I will link this into this question. Cos is only going to play about 20% ruck time because O'Dowd got back on Sunday from the final over there in Ireland, from the, Gaelic final. So, yeah, O'Dowd's back in the country there, and that's why Cos is a little bit of a red flag. But I would say I'm probably Butler, Vesio, Coles, McDonald at the moment for the more notable F6s there. But I do like the Window pick. She's one that I had in last year. And I just like, she has the physical attributes for the AFL breakout, the AFLW breakout, and the scoring breakout as well there. So her as a forward, she only needs 10 points of value to be top line. So you might almost save a trade there as well. And that's why I like that over a rookie there, to be honest. What do you think of Caitlin Cox? She's one that I had initially at F6, and she's probably now, if I think of all things considered, if we include her in F6, I go Butler, Vesio, McDonald, probably, Cos. So Butler, Vesio, Cos, Cox, McDonald is probably the combination I would go in terms of 1 to, 5 in pickability. So I didn't, she's still playing down back. I didn't catch much of the practice game, but 7 tackles and like 3 touches. It was not a good look for someone that you really wanted to score well. So that's why I'm probably a little bit more off her now after that. If she put up like 10 touches, 7 tackles and put up a 60, I would have been just like, yep, perfect pick, done, job done there. But she's probably one that's going to score well and I can adjust to after a week. Gold Coast, obviously, Daisy Darcy injury means that the likes of McLaughlin is basically freed up on the back line. And then Dupuy is probably holding or allowing Havana Harris to have a game or 2 there. And we'll see what role Harris gets after that. Fitzpatrick, Harrington, Lynch, McMullen, Talbot, and Whitford. Whitford role could smash a little bit of Mithen's scoreability. So that's probably why I wouldn't go there. GWS are basically injury-free, but they need to find a new coach because he, for some reason, doesn't want to put Goldsworthy on ball. Hawthorn, no real, I say no real injuries. Jenna Richardson is going to be one that threw up like a Kemp or someone into in preseason calculations the last couple of days, but I just don't think I rate that as much. I think that I just think that Kemp isn't as good as one of the North Melbourne girls who could score a little bit better and has a better track record there. Melbourne, not too much. Goldrick's also, I think that's basically on her, based on her, well, she was in Ireland. I don't know if Goldrick's back. I'm pretty sure she's back. But yeah. And then you've also got Kate Hall, who is a test, but I don't think there's too much out of Melbourne outside of that. That is noteworthy. North Melbourne, Carney with a calf injury for 2 weeks and Sarah Wright, personal reasons, is why I'm leaning towards potentially having a North Melbourne backman there, or defender there, sorry. So that's why I'm looking between a Birch and an O'Shea. I don't know exactly which one to go for, but yeah, I am deciding between the 2 there. Port Adelaide, I don't think anything except for Lauren Young. Outside of that, I don't think there's anything interesting there, to be honest with you. So there's that one there. And then you got Richmond and McKinnon, ACL, still TBC. And then, yeah, nothing too much. Grace Egan, a quad for 1 to 2 weeks. Interesting, but yeah, don't think there's too much a major there. St Kilda, nothing. Well, if you actually, I think Vesely 3 to 5 weeks with a hip injury. Interesting. I'm pretty sure that opens up a role for Patricios, if it wasn't already there. Feidler knee, season done. Barr is a 1 weeker, and then nothing else there. And then for Sydney, you've got Cynthia Hamilton, a test, and Imogen Brown 1 to 2 weeks. Not much major in terms of that. And role changes. And yeah, Sydney's probably going to run with the midfield of first up, Gardiner, Kennedy, and Hurley. And then you'd have Ham, Maloney, as well as potentially a little bit of Malloy, a little bit of McAvoy running through there as well. And then for West Coast, you've got Boyd 3 to 4. Johnson is the big one here, I think. At 6 to 8, we know that Lewis got up from the team sheets as well as Weston. And then Riggs and Belinda Smith out there injured as well. And then for the Western Bulldogs, Berry 4 to 5 weeks, Ferris a test, Lala Weefy 2 to 4, and Pritchard a test. So D Berry 4 to 5 weeks is probably interesting for the Western Bulldogs mid matchups there. And then Pritchard a test. You wouldn't go for her, but she did look like a little bit of value just based on what I've seen. Looks like one of the better players in the comp. Just stuck at the Western Bulldogs, who are horrific, but they should be better this year. But that is that, I think. And then we get to this last question here. Reckon forward line is the trickiest apart from Ruck. I'm warming to the window pick. Was a great rookie pick last year. Completely agree. She was a really good pick last year, and I think she's one that could be good this year as well. But anyway, what's the best rookie to bring on the bench? Salim Moody is not selected in the forward line. Best rookie in the forward line, and this is bringing on to the bench. It's not on field. It depends how much cash you have. If you've got, if you have like the 450k, I would be going the 450k rookie. But if you've got 350, 360, I'd still be going Cos. I think she's a role that's not going to bang out those sort of 70, 80 big cash generating games, but I still think she's in a decent enough role in that sort of secondary ruck that she's going to score sort of in and around that 50 or so range, 45, 50. For the, at least hopefully for the first couple of weeks where you just get cash in and then move her on. But yeah, that would be that. How is Puller going? Probably just lining up on a wing. Obviously, injury list, she wasn't named, which is a good thing, as she, I think, had some injuries in preseason. What's she priced at? I think a lot of people are looking at that the Puller game that she played a couple of years ago. One game last year for 62 and thinking, oh, there's value there because she's priced at like 56 or something. I just don't think there's value. She's probably less than 56. Let me actually double check that for you. But yeah, I just don't think there's terribly much value there. She's priced about 52. At best, 10 points value. At worst, probably even 5 points overs. I just can't get a read on her, and I don't think she's going to do too much because at the end of the day, you've got Zippy Fish off halfback. You've got a midfield of Gardner, Kennedy. You've got a midfield that's involving Gardner and also Hurley, as well as Ham, as well as Maloney, as well as the likes of Malloy that have all got to score points. So I think the Puller coming into the new side isn't going to do terribly well. And do we know why O'Loughlin missed practice games? Haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything either. And she was she named on the injury list here? Let's look. Wasn't named on the injury list, so I have no idea about that. I don't think she's going to do as well this year. I think she's probably going to drop 5 or so points, which, yes, I wouldn't be starting her, to be honest with you. But that is the live stream. And I will catch you guys tomorrow in what will be a big live stream as we look at the all the teams after a couple after about 45 minutes or so. The teams will start to come out for the games, and then I'll probably end the live stream at like 6:45, 6:50 or so, and that'll leave 15-20 minutes before the start of the games. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow night for all of the team lists, which will probably throw up absolute chaos. But anyway, later tonight you will see well, for AFLW you will see my team final team reveal, even though you've probably seen it already. And then you will also see, and there'll be probably some connotations and potential sort of 50-50 decisions that I'll say. I'm throwing up between X and Y player. But yeah, it'll be a relatively comprehensive, and probably 90% of the team will be there. And then you also have trade targets as well from me in a little bit. But anyway, I will see you guys later for those videos and the live stream tomorrow.